da-da-da-da-doom, da-doom, da-doom, doom, doom. Here we go, Wednesday hump day. Welcome to the Chad Prather Show. Good afternoon, everyone. I am glad that you have decided to tune in. Thank you for jumping into the live chat, whether you're on Graham's Rumble page or on the Chad Prather Rumble page, or maybe you're on YouTube. I'm trying to push everybody to Rumble. I really am. Just YouTube is so weird, but Rumble, jump on there. I know people are trying to figure out which chat to be in because you get FOMO, that fear of missing out. You get the FOMO. It all shows up on the EV Mux platform, and unfortunately, whenever Royce puts that up there, you'll be able to see some of those things. They merge together, but on Rumble, you're in the situation that you're in, and right now we don't have that solution, although we're working on it. We want you to go and subscribe. Wherever you're watching this, hit the subscribe button. Hit the Chad Prather subscribe button on Rumble. Hit the Graham Allen subscribe button on Rumble. Hit subscribe. Just do everything we can to get the notifications. Thank you. Hit like, hit share, tell your family and friends that we're doing this thing called a show. It's a podcast, folks, and we're going to have a good time today. I'm going to give you a little history lesson, going to give you a little future lesson. We're going to talk about Los Angeles. You say, why do we care about Los Angeles? Well, I want to tell you more about than just the wildfires. And if it's any indicator, and I believe it is, we could see not just where Los Angeles is going, but we're going to see what they're going to try to do with the rest of our country. None of us are safe, folks. All of us are in danger because ideas have consequences, and these ideologies and these, you've heard me say it, these agenda-driven narratives, they are out to get you. They don't care about you, but they are out to get you. They are, the world is being run by radicals, and they're operating in some dark, secret places. I am not a fearmonger. If anything, I'm an optimist. Now, sometimes I become a cynic or a skeptic. You know, I'm a passionate person who's just tired of being disappointed. So I'll just tell you guys, we got some good stuff that's happening in our country. If you tuned in this morning to the Dear America show, you know that there is a new level of expectation and optimism that is happening in Washington, D.C. They didn't touch Pete Hegseth. They didn't touch him yesterday, as Megyn Kelly said, didn't lay a glove on him. He came through that thing with flying colors. He's going to get the confirmation, and there's going to be exciting things to come. I was watching a little bit of the Pam Bondi confirmation hearings before the Senate. She's holding her own, as, I don't know, I can't talk today. She's holding her own as they are getting ready to confirm her for the Attorney General position, and she is sharp, dude. She is laying the smack down. She just absolutely dropped the hammer on Adam Pencil-neck Schiff just a little while ago, and I'm here for it. I'm all about it. Possibly the most punchable face in the Senate, Adam Schiff. I always say Eric Swalwell is the most punchable face in Congress. I'll be honest with you, Matt Gaetz, even though I like old Matt, he was up there competition-wise for most punchable face. But people won't like that for me. But I like what Pam Bondi's got to say. She's doing pretty good. She is a little bit in a different attitude from what Pete Hegseth was. Pete was very diplomatic. She is clapping back, dude. Don't poke the mama bear. And that's what they're doing with Pam Bondi. Oh, boy, I'm here for it. Without further ado, I want to bring on everybody's favorite producer, Royce Chamberlain, everybody. Royce, are you ready? Do you have your pants on?
I do have my pants on, luckily. And you know what, Chad, I was thinking about it. I know you're slurring your words a little bit. Have you had your Magic Mind today?
I haven't.
Not a sponsor of today's show, but just figured, you know.
I don't have one because I'm waiting on my new shipment. Party Foul Steve, he's sitting over here. He brought me a Magic Mind a little bit, and I said, I don't need it today. I've already had mine this morning. I need to save it for tomorrow because I've got a couple left, and they've already sent me the new shipment of Magic Mind. You say, what in the world's Magic Mind? Well, I don't mind telling you, magicmind.com/Chad, Jan, Jan at the end of Chad.
I think I still have the...
It's their January special. If you could pop it up,
there
it
is. Go ahead.
It is magicmind.com/Chad.
Didn't plan to do this, but figured it was appropriate.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Magic Mind is clean energy, dude. Now they got the bundle deal going where they give you 50% off if you go to that website on their night stuff. It's the morning Magic Mind and the evening Magic Mind. The evening has the ashwagandha. And I know you don't know much about this, Royce, but the older you get and the fatter you get and the more out of shape you are, and just things start to fall apart in your body, it's hard to sleep at night. And I live with a lot of things on my mind. Yesterday, I don't mind telling you guys, was a stressful day for me. I had a lot of stuff going on yesterday, and it was just rough. So all the sleep you can get, folks. My doctor, he sent me, he texted me this morning. Big shout out to Dr. Mike Ipock, my good buddy. He takes care of me. He called. He said, Chad, you've got to start exercising more. You just got to start doing more. You got things, and I'm pretty active. Don't get me wrong, but he said, you just got to do more. And I'm like, shut up. I see you, E-Trucker, might need a Celsius. I allow myself 1 Celsius a day. And if you'll notice on the morning show, I don't drink coffee. Every now and then I might have a cup of coffee randomly,
Really?
every so often. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I will have a Celsius in the morning, and it takes me about an hour and a half to get that sucker down. Because I milk it. I know it's my just my pleasure of the day, drinking that Celsius.
I can't tell if that's better or worse than coffee.
Coffee's better for you.
You
Coffee's
gotta be,
better
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on what you put in it, how much of what you put in it. Yeah.
That's a great point. I just drink coffee black because
You don't have creamer with a little bit of coffee?
No, I will tell you, the older I've gotten, every now and then, I'm down there by my coffee maker, I do keep a little one of those little creamers like you get in the restaurant. I keep a little box of those. And every now and then I might have to just take a little bit of the edge off of it. I see your freedom isn't free. Chad, what about Red Con 1? I think I've had one of those ever. I've
never had
one
them.
of those. And it was a while back. Do we need, we need a little wake me up? Do we need a streamer? Do we need a little explosion?
Oh, maybe. Wait. Let me go full screen with it.
Yeah, go full screen. I always feel weird doing it like this because I feel like I'm popping confetti out of my crotch. Here we go. I want to see if you guys can get the full effect. There it goes. Oh, there it is. There's a lot
That looked like something else just happened there, man.
I know. Daddy. Oh, Daddy.
Oh, jeez. That visual, man.
I wanted to hide it from there. These are heavy-duty streamer cannons, man. They literally say, do not aim this anywhere towards yourself. So
Jeez.
They were literally...
You know what else says that? Roman candles say that, but we still do it.
Oh, we still do it. We shoot each other with them, for crying out loud. That's America. I mean, that's America. Speaking of America, get my new song, What Happened to That? I saw somebody in the chat saying, when does it hit radio? It's already hit radio in some places. We're not doing a huge radio play for that one because if you do that, it costs you like a minimum of like $25,000 a month just to get the PR behind it to do it. And I mean, that's chicken feed. I mean, you got to realize these guys like Jason Aldean and you know, Post Malone and Morgan Wallen, those guys spend millions of dollars a month to get their shows get their songs out there. So we don't take that route. We rely on word of mouth, just people just hearing the song, liking the song, loving the song, and yeah, it's good stuff. So that's a big cannon. I'm going to get the little ones. I think if I get the little cannons for this room, for this...
It'll show up better.
I think it'll show up better. Like, it'll just go bloop. That's another thing. I'm not going to go there. Just forget it. Just forget it. I quit.
Hey, at least with the little ones, you know, you can do them up here. It's not going to look so weird.
Well, people can't tell, and Party Foul Steve cleans up after me. When as soon as we're done, I'm like, you might as well just leave it till the end of the week because there's going to be confetti everywhere. But this room is strewn about with confetti and streamers.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Hey, let me tell you guys before we get into it, betonline.ag. They got all the lines for the inauguration, all the confirmation hearings, everything. Betonline.ag. We helped them write the lines. So if you want to know, are we going to buy Greenland? How much are we going to buy Greenland for? Will Canada become a province? Will it become a state? Will we start adopting some of these people in here? And I threw Royce a curveball because I got it out of order, but I've left yesterday.
That's right, I got it.
Betonline.ag. Check them out. They got some pretty fun lines, and it's for fun, guys. Like I was telling you this morning, it's just for fun. Go in there, check it out, and see some of those lines. Like, you know, hey, is Donald and Melania, are they going to get a divorce? Oh, you can bet on that. They got some crazy fun stuff. So see where the money's going, see what's going on. They got some pretty wild stuff in there. So anyway, check them out. BetOnline.ag. We got 5 more days until the inauguration. I'm excited about that. My phone is literally blowing up. You know why? Because I got banned permanently on TikTok. That's right, folks. Breaking news. I got banned on TikTok, and I'm okay with it. Like, I've been on the bubble for a long time. I constantly get suspensions, get the account warnings. They don't like the truth over there. They don't like the truth over there. For instance, one of the things that they banned me for, one of the things, there were 3 final violations they didn't like, is I made the video where I said that the Oregon fire trucks, 60 of them, had to stop for an emissions inspection. Okay, well, listen, let me explain something to you guys. And everybody wants to jump on my rear end and say, why did you give misinformation? We report the information we're given at the time. Just because a week later you find out more information doesn't mean that we were wrong at that time. You understand what I'm saying? So you're judging us after a week of information when we went with the information we had that was being reported at that time. At that point in time, it was being reported that they were held up for emissions inspections. Now, the Oregon Firefighters Association, the president of that, came out and put out a statement and said that these trucks, we didn't know if they were roadworthy to go that distance, and so California stopped them for a maintenance check. Now, if you think that an emissions inspection was not conducted on those trucks during a maintenance check, you are stupid with 2 O's. You are a genius with a J, okay? You don't know what you're talking about. I guarantee you, with all of the red tape, the bureaucracy, and all the garbage they got in California, they check the emissions on those fire trucks. So you got to read between the lines. So is it misinformation or false information? Don't know. They chose to tell us that it was a maintenance check. I guarantee you they checked all that stuff. But here's the bottom line. They stopped the freaking trucks. They stopped the freaking trucks. They didn't check them when they got to Oregon or when they left Oregon. No, they stopped them when they got to California.
And then TikTok banned you.
And then TikTok, that's one of the things they banned me for. Now, if that hurts your feelings, if you liberal, progressive, purple-haired, nose ring wearing Riris out there, if that hurts your feelings that it was reported as them checking emissions inspections rather than just doing a maintenance check, if that hurts your feelings, well, then I want you to go buy a box of Crayola 64 and get you a coloring book, and I want you to snuggle up with a Joe Biden doll, and I want you to get in your safe space in your privacy tent, put on your muumuu like Hillary Rodham Clinton, and I want you to pray to Mike Obama and just ask them to give you thicker skin. Thicker skin.
Wow, dude. That's good. Well, hey, TikTok doesn't matter because it's getting banned in 4 days anyway.
You know what?
Everybody
Sky
in the
Corbin,
chat.
Go ahead.
Everybody in the chat's like, I don't do TikTok. I would never do TikTok. You don't have to. It's being banned.
It's gone away. I barely did it. But I had 500,000 followers. I can tell you this, I've never sold a ticket to a live show because of TikTok.
What a flex, though. I barely did it, but I only had 500,000 followers.
I barely did it. I mean, I've gotten canceled.
The chat's blowing up with CLC right now.
Because of TikTok. Cry libs cry, cry libs cry. Get in there, blow it up with CLC.
Listen, I never posted to TikTok, but I will say I am an avid TikTok enjoyer. All right? I watch TikTok on the daily.
Honestly, it never crosses my mind to do anything with it. I do have, we did start, somebody that works with me started another one today. You have to get a whole new phone number and everything to do it. So I said, go get a Google number and whatever, do it.
Jeez.
Yeah, you can't associate the old number. So it's Chad.Prather48. Don't know why you can't change the name for like 30 days either. So it's Chad.Prather38. And by the way, guys, and like I hesitate to even tell you to go over there and find me simply because there's thousands of Chad Prather fake accounts on TikTok. I get messages every day from people saying, is this you? Is this you? No, it's not me. One, I don't have 4 followers. Well, I guess technically now I do. I mean, I get people all the time sending me stuff on Facebook. Is this you? And I was like, no, that's a Pakistani with 4 followers. Give me a break. You know, this is, let's see. So I have 4 followers on my new, look at that. Nothing's even posted on the new TikTok.
You new TikTok? Let me see if I can
4
find
followers, Chad.Prather48. There's more important things going on than TikTok. Sky Corbin texted me a little while ago, and he says, well, they're about to be banned, so tit for tat. You know, screw them.
Yeah, exactly.
Pakistani.
You have 11 followers now, Chad.
Do I? Look at me.
You have 11.
Look at me.
Boom.
Look at that cute face, too. Golly.
Check this out. Boom. Now you got 12.
I'll make sure to follow you back, man. More importantly, follow me on X at Watch Chad. There's the Instagram at Watch Chad. Oh, CLC, cry libs cry. If you're worried about emissions inspections, you just keep on crying. I got to go get on a horse this afternoon. We got to go to East Texas. My good buddy Chris Burgard. We're working on a television project together that is going to require me to go and get on a horse, which I grew up on horses. That's not a problem. For me, it's like riding a bicycle. But I got to spend pretty much the whole day tomorrow on a horse, which means Friday and Saturday, the muscles that I never use are going to be extremely sore. So there's going to be some stretching involved. But I'm all day in front of a camera tomorrow on a horse, and I'm going to be sore. So there most likely will not be a Chad Prather show tomorrow.
You'll be too sore.
I just don't think I'm going to think. I think I'll be in the saddle. I think I'll be in the saddle all day tomorrow. So I got to do some roping and some riding and some of the, you say I used to do a bunch of cowboy stuff, but I don't do much of it anymore. But got to do that all day tomorrow. I'm going to do my absolute best to be on the show tomorrow morning because I want to see what Graham has to say about his visit for the Pete Hegseth confirmation and some of that insider information. He was sharing some stuff. Boy, but you know what? I've been kicked out of better places than TikTok. I can tell you that. And so have the patriots in the chat. I've been thrown out of more decent bars than China's TikTok. TikTok, baby. TikTok.
I mean, what about the people who were kicked out of the Capitol on January 6th? Just saying.
That's
just
right.
throwing that one out there.
That's
saying,
right. And I want to talk a little bit. About Capitol insurrection and terroristic threats here in a little while. But before we do, Donald Trump, he made a post. He put it out there. He said the hostages in Gaza, the Hamas hostages, they're coming home. They made a deal. He said, we got a deal for the hostages in the Middle East. They will be released shortly. Thank you. Now, we're 5 days out, and he's already getting it done. But, of course, little 4-foot-nothing Ed Krasenstein, one of the Krasenstein brothers, one of those people we love to hate. He said, for those who don't know, Joe Biden is president. He got the deal done, not Trump. This is really sad. This is how delusional these Kool-Aid drinkers are, which, by the way, you won't be able to drink red Kool-Aid anytime soon either. Talk about that some more. But, yeah, no, Joe's had the opportunity to get it done. I mean, that's like them saying that the Afghanistan withdrawal was the most successful airlift operation that's in U.S. military history. You can't make it up. They literally said that. 13 soldiers died in Abbey Gate and the explosion from the terrorists, and it was an absolute nightmare as people were falling off of what was the plane, C-37s? I don't even know.
Like that.
And it was, for those who don't know, Joe Biden, and they're going to sit there and say, oh, it was the most successful airlift out of, evacuation. Oh, okay. These people are delusional. It's just like Joe Biden saying that he's leaving the economy strong. It's just like him saying that he closed the border or the numbers went down after he became president. All these lies that they're peddling. They're putting all this crap out there the last 5 days. It's a fat middle finger to the American citizen who they think you're stupid. You're not stupid. You're not stupid, folks. You are critical thinkers. Trust me, Royce, I don't know about you. I get in here and I start listening to the folks. I read the comments and I listen to people. There's some smart people in the chat, dude. We got some smart folks that listen to the show, comment on social media, and I learn a lot from the people that follow this show. I really do, because it's fun to be able to look at something, and I like it when people look at it from another angle. Sometimes I'm talking so much that I lack the ability to process thoughts. So, I love what everybody has to say. So make sure you're liking, sharing, keep it up in the chat. Let's see some of those American flags in the chat. That's one thing I've learned from Graham Allen is you got to blow up the chat. You got to blow up the chat to remind the algorithm, hey, folks, we are actually here. And I will say this, too. Yesterday was the largest viewed show on my Rumble channel. That's never happened before, so thank you for that. But Donald Trump got this done. He's getting all this stuff done, man. He's making the folks bow. He's making, look at the things that have happened since he's been elected. Justin Trudeau resigned. Mexico, in fear of the tariffs. Canada, they're bowing down to us. They're realizing that their economy depends on us. The stuff going on with Greenland. Other deals in the Middle East that have been talked about. Russia kind of taking hands off in Ukraine. Even Volodymyr Zelensky, the little pint-sized premier over there in Kyiv. Even he says that Donald Trump is the guy who can get peace done. Nobody at any time believes that Joe Biden, the little C-3PO walking stiff claw hand guy that just kind of shuffles around and every now and then takes a little stutter step, and the media goes, look how competent and strong he is. And we all know that the guy's got his toe knuckles on the precipice of the eternal, forever future, and he sees dead people. We all know that. We all know that. Joe's walking in the bushes right now. President P-Pads doesn't know where he's at. Much less did he broker a deal to get hostages released. Now, we don't know the details on this, but trust me, Donald Trump, it's the art of the deal, baby. It's the art of the deal. He is getting it done.
I bet Donald Trump didn't even have to say anything, but they came to him and said, Mr. President, since you're coming into office, we will return the hostages. Because that's what's happened. Like you mentioned, all the tariffs, talking about Mexico and Canada and Hamas and all these different places that have just backed down simply at the fact that Donald Trump is coming into office.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's not doing anything. Nobody fears Joe Biden. That's why so many wars broke out. That's why there were so many terrorist attacks in our country while he was president.
Yeah.
Because nobody fears him. We were stepped all over. We were robbed over and over and over. Laughed at as a country because Joe Biden he's not a leader. He's not. Like you said, he's on the precipice of death. Okay, the dude's almost gone.
Never has been. Never has been. Striker J says, Chad, you now have 27 followers on TikTok. Apparently, you have a fake account that has 314,000 followers. I wonder if they'll sell it to me for $5. Let's throw it in with the Greenland deal.
Well, let's see how much that's worth in their country. That might be they might be rich because of that.
That's true. You know, Greenland has. If we get Greenland, a lot of work's got to happen. Greenland has the highest suicide rate in the world. They got the highest homicide rate in the world, and they've got the highest alcoholism rate in the world. But they literally live on a polar ice cap, so I can see where you'd get a little doom and gloom up there.
I like how Bet Online though has something going on with like who's going to be the first sport to be in Greenland. Is it NFL, MLB?
Yeah,
WNBA. I don't like.
I don't think they're going to be putting any sports up there. If they can have one, then they need to send one to Anchorage. But I don't think they're going to do that. If anybody's ever flown to Alaska or much less driven to Alaska, it ain't easy to get there. It ain't. Well, I mean, it's easy. You just got to sit for a long time. But it's a long way. It's a trip, dude. It is a trip. Can we talk about the red dye thing before we go any further?
Yeah.
Because I got a feeling I want to talk about this LA thing and really spend some time on the history of this deal. Charlie Kirk, our good friend, he said breaking the FDA bans food red dye, the food dye red number 3, citing cancer concerns. The dye is still used in thousands of foods, including candy, cereals, cherries, and fruit cocktails. Strawberry-flavored milkshakes. And we could go on with that. I mean, that's in your Gatorade. That's in your barbecue sauce, your ketchup. It is in your Skittles. People said, no more Skittles. Well, they won't be red. And, your Doritos, your Cheetos, all of these things have that red dye 3. I'm sure somebody will come in and correct me and say, Cheetos does not have red dye number 3. Well, I'll tell you what I do know, and that is they banned Red 3 30 years ago, like 27 years ago, from makeup products. And so that means they knew that the stuff that you would put on your lips or on your cheeks, ladies, would cause cancer, but it was okay for you to put it in your mouth, chew it up, and consume it. So that should concern you that your Food and Drug Administration, the bureaucrats and the FDA, they have known all along that you're consuming a potential cancer-causing agent. And they've been okay with that. Your government doesn't love you. So, maha, make America healthy again. We really are not a healthy country. I mean, we went from, Japan is like the average obesity rate is like 3%. We're at 44%. Those people, I love what he said. Billy Bob Thornton's character on Landman said in one of the early episodes. They said, man, you smoke too many cigarettes, you're going to die. He said, man, you got 95-year-old people in Japan lighting one after another. He said, we're putting all these processed sugars and seed oils and everything else in our body and just blowing up. So anyway, as I take my Coke Zero.
That's all right. I got something even better.
What have you got?
I got something ready.
Yeah,
little Dr. Pepper. Little Dr. Pepper ASMR. You ready?
And I will tell you, the Dr. Pepper, look at that. I had a good friend of mine She passed away. She passed away at the age of 106.
Whoa, man.
And we caught up with her at 102. My good friend Kurt Conger works for Dr. Pepper, and he caught up with her because they did a news story on her. At 102, she said, I drink 3 Dr. Peppers a day at 10, 2, and 4, which was their ad slogan forever. And she said, that's the secret to my longevity. So Dr. Pepper kept her in Dr. Peppers for the rest of her life. And we had Miss Elizabeth Sullivan. She lived to be 107 years old. She taught math at high school level up until the age of 80. So she was a sharp lady, big Texas Rangers fan.
I saw a video of a woman, old woman. I don't know how old she was, but she was like, there was another documentary on her because all she drank was Dr. Pepper all the time.
Yeah. Well, they got that pure cane sugar in there, which at least is healthier.
At least it is. But she goes, I drink one of these all the time, whatever. I've had 3 doctors telling me that I was going to die because I drank so much Dr. Pepper, but they died first.
They are all dead.
They're all dead.
So anyway, they're saying, finally, we're getting some things done. This is a real deal. Getting rid of the red dye, number 3. Can't wait to see what else is going to happen. Listen, you can go to Italy and eat their wheat and their bread, and it is good for you. Over here, we got all of these. We got all these problems. We got these gastro problems. We're gluten intolerant, all these different things. Well, my God, they've sprayed our wheat with Roundup. The stuff the weeds can't kill, and you think your body can digest it? It just can't. So, anyway. We'll see what happens. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right, let's talk about Los Angeles. Here's Governor Gavin Newsom. As you know, California's been on fire. Southern California's been on fire. And he wants to talk about his Marshall Plan to rebuild Los Angeles. Now, this was him. He's pretty animated. There's something about this guy that's just he's sort of like Justin Trudeau. He's somewhat of the political thespian, if you will. Everything is an act with him. He's fake. He's phony. He talks about LA 2.0, a city where everyone is included. And Los Angeles Democrats announced that LA would be turned into a smart city by 2028. They want to do this is the whole deal. The city of Los Angeles, smart LA by 2028. So let's turn some volume on. Let's hear Greasy Newsom and hear what he has to say.
With all of that and all that opportunity and that pride and spirit that comes from not just hosting those 3 iconic games and venues, but also the opportunity, I think, to rebuild at the same time. And that's why we're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast, people here that were ravaged by this disaster.
You just said you're organizing a Marshall Plan for the rebuilding of California. What is that Marshall Plan? Tell us about this Marshall Plan.
We're just starting to lay out. We're still fighting these fires. So we're already talking to city leaders. We're already talking to civic leaders. We're already talking to business leaders and nonprofits. We're talking to labor leaders. We're starting to organize how we can put together a collection of individuals on philanthropy for recovery, how we can organize the region, how we can make sure that we are seeking federal assistance for the Olympics more broadly, but also federal assistance for the recovery efforts, and how we can galvanize the community with folks that love this community to really develop a mindset so that at scale we're dealing with the scope of this tragedy and responding to it at scale with efficiency like the executive order I talked about, time value of delivering projects, addressing building codes, addressing permitting issues, and moving forward to rebuilding and being more resilient.
This guy's all hopped up on Mountain Dew. Let me tell you, if you see me talking to you like this, and I'm doing all these hand gestures like this, I don't know what level of Adderall this guy is taking. Maybe he's coked up, and I don't mean Coca-Cola, but this guy, he's got it all mapped out on how he's going to put in his Marshall Plan. More like martial law. This guy's talking about a 15-minute city. That's what he's talking about. When he talks about a smart city, they're talking about, this is some Judge Dredd stuff going on. They're going to watch you. They're going to monitor you. They're going to track you. They're going to anticipate everything. Royce, just yesterday, we were talking about a road atlas. And as soon as we got off from the podcast taping, because we had a conversation about what a road atlas was, Royce didn't know. And I jumped on my Facebook, opened up Facebook, and someone had just they showed me a post about a road atlas. Somebody saying, we don't know what a road atlas is. And I was like, I sent a screenshot to Royce and I said, tell me they're not listening. Imagine that on the scale of a city of Los Angeles. Now, not just in Los Angeles, but these types of cities set the tone for what other places are good. You telling me they wouldn't do this in Chicago or New York City, or they would not do this in Austin, Texas, or in Seattle, Washington? They will. All of these cities out here, Atlanta, Georgia, their goal is to become Salt Lake City, Utah. They want to become these 15-minute cities. They want to be in control. They want to be able to run the show. This is a collective, communal, communistic plan that they have in place. They're not even hiding it anymore. This is an opportunity for them to just lay bare the geography out there. I mean, these fires, what better? Tell me, watch what happens in Maui. Watch what happens in Maui. The government's been trying to get their hands on, that community there in Maui forever. They've been trying to get their, Palisades, all of these things. They've been trying to do it. I want you to pull up the clip of old Mark Pescarelli, however you say his last name. He is he is not, I always say parks, he's public planning. He's Los Angeles Director of Public Planning. I want you to hear what this guy had to say. Just a matter of, I think this was like 2 years ago. Do you have that? It's in that, right there. Play the one on the right. I want everybody, I think this is a 1.5-minute clip. Please pay attention. This is the guy in charge of Public Works there in Los Angeles. Listen to what he says.
It's those three sectors are probably the big sectors that I'm hyper focused on, wastewater and transportation. We also see an area of self-resiliency, and that is in the emergency management crisis. Because as this weather situation gets more and more intense, we're finding that people forgot how to make fires, don't know where their water comes from, don't understand where the sewage goes. And
all right, now I want to remind everybody, this is not now. This was a couple of years ago. He's talking about past fires. He's not talking about the current fires. He's talking about not only sewage management, stuff like that, but where does the water come from? All right, keep playing the clip there, Royce.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, keep it going. Just click it right
we're
in.
finding that people forgot how to make fires, don't know where their water comes from, don't understand where the sewage goes. And you put them in a situation where all of our utilities are taken away, a big windstorm or something, and you can have a major problem, a major crisis on your hands just from people not being self-reliant enough or being aware. So emergency management is going to involve teaching people, becoming more self-reliant, decentralized system, and then hardening the system so it can be the system of support for people and infrastructure so that it can bounce back more readily. And we're getting a great challenge, and it's been a terrible pleasure to be involved with the Woolsey fire because it's an awful thing that happened. But we're also seeing what the future looks like in terms of LA County's readiness.
All right, stop it right there.
We have
Their plan. This is what Build Back Better looks like. You see the comment underneath that. Their plan has always been to build better. Joe Biden's campaign slogan was Build Back Better. This is what they're talking about. They're talking about Green New Deal stuff. They're talking about rebuilding infrastructure. When they talk about that, if you remember the Green New Deal, they said it was going to cost $95 trillion or some astronomical crazy number that doesn't exist in order to retrofit every building in America in order to make it climate smart. And all these smart city ideas, which are not good for free citizenry, this has been their plan all along to build back better. Now, I want you to go back to the other clip, Royce. And now here is what he has to say right now. Listen very closely to what he says. Listen very closely to what he says in this press conference about the current wildfires. Play it.
To rebuild these communities back and rebuild them better than they were when we started this fire.
What?
What?
I think, wait a minute. Let's make sure everybody's got their ears on. I think that 8 seconds is worth playing again. Play it again.
Rebuild these communities back and rebuild them better than they were when we started this fire.
Okay, now that okay, I don't want to get too semantical here, but did he just say we started the fire? I mean, he said it. Now, that might not have been what he meant, or at least you could explain it away. But did he say when we started this fire? And why wouldn't you say when the fire started? Did he just say the quiet part out loud? Maybe he has been involved in the plan overall on the Build Back Better deal that Gavin Newsom was talking about in that interview earlier, to make a smart LA by 2028, or in terms of what he was talking about in preparing, hardening the system. Because he goes on in that deal, he says, now we have more people who are living out off the grid in California. We have more people who are living out, alone in the wilderness, and maybe they're not accustomed to living in the wilderness. And he says, we want to make sure that these people understand where all of these things come from. It sounds to me like a lot more governmental dependence, right? We want to make sure that even though these people chose to live in the wilderness off the grid and be left alone, hey, don't forget, you're still in the People's Republic of California. We, the bureaucrats, are going to come out there and remind you that you're dependent upon us. And hey, maybe if we have to set a fire to remind you that you're not ready, that's how we will harden the system and remind you that readiness is not anything you can control unless you're completely dependent on the Build Back Better program. I mean, you tell me in the chat. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. But if you want L.A. or Atlanta or Austin or San Francisco or Seattle or Chicago or any town USA to take on the technology that becomes a smart city like they are purporting, and I promise you, if they're doing it, they've already got the blueprints for it somewhere else in America, all over this country. So I want you to put no in the chat. No. This is not a yes or no question. This is a no question. That is the answer. Royce, am I reading too much into what he said? Maybe I am.
I don't think you're reading too much into what he said, because regardless of whether he meant to say something else, I think there's truth to it. Truth to everything that's going on. I mean, I thought it was kind of interesting how excited Gavin Newsom was in that video. Everything around him was burnt down. He's like, oh yeah, our plan's coming together. Everything. Yeah, first off, he acted like that this was a plan that they had developed, ready to go for a long time. Oh yeah, everything we've been wanting to do, it's ready. It's we're all good to go. We're going to make this all happen. Finally, it all burned down. That's not the attitude I think you should have as the governor of your state that just burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
People losing their lives, their houses, their livelihood, everything's gone, their jobs. People lost pets, everything they own. And you're like, oh yeah, we're going to build it all back and spend trillions of dollars. You planned this.
And he's happy about it.
It all sounds like they planned for this to happen.
And at bare minimum, even if they didn't plan it or even instigate it, they're still giddy that it happened. Because it makes the way forward in their planning easier. It made it easier for them.
Look how happy this guy looks.
They're so happy. They've been from the very beginning talking about what they're going to do to rebuild. They've never even put the fires out, dude. And they're already talking about what they're going to do. So these people, they get rich off a crisis. What is the old adage? You never let a good crisis go to waste. And this is a crisis. This gives them the carte blanche opportunity to move forward with their plan. Smart City, LA 28, whatever you want to call it. That's what it's going to be, man. And it is scary, scary, scary. You don't want to get caught into that. And I mean, the fact that this guy brings up people are trying to live off the grid, and we're going to go out there and just basically interrupt their lives and make sure remind you you're dependent on us. And so I say over and over again, these guys are at bare minimum complicit in this, because you don't, to your point, Royce, you don't go out there like Gavin Newsom and look like you're putting on an interview in front of Will Rogers Follies. I mean, this ain't show tunes going on behind you. This is real life, dude. You're not standing in front of a green screen. You literally, every interview he's done with Anderson Cooper, with Jen Peppermint Patty Saki, all of them, he's excited about this. He's literally happy about this. I mean, what better than some federal funding to come in there and help you rebuild your smart city? So,
isn't Joe Biden paying for everything? 100% of the cost for the first 6 months? I think that's enough to get started on it.
Yeah. I can't stand these people, dude. I can't. People ask me, they're like, Chad, why don't you just do comedy? I mean, you do stand-up comedy, you travel around the country, you do music, you do comedy. You know, you're not very funny on your show. No, I'm not, because at the end of the day, God gave me a platform and I want to expose all this stuff. You know when things are funny is when free speech really exists. Like, I want to fight back against that kind of stuff. Like, I want to make sure that we got a country to tell jokes in. I mean, I just got banned on TikTok for whatever.
For facts.
Screw
They're
you.
doing the COVID thing all over again. They've not stopped.
Yeah.
Just now we proved to them that COVID was right. So they're just going to keep banning us for other stuff that we're going to eventually find out we were right about as well.
That's right. You're right, Striker Jay.
Same
probably
with
is in
this.
front of a
Same
green
with
screen.
this.
Yeah.
This exact situation. We're going to come out saying, this is all planned. They did all this stuff. Now ban them here. False information. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Maybe not Facebook, but all these other platforms are going to do it still. And it's going to come out in 3 or 4 years that, oh yeah, we discovered that we do have space lasers. And then they freaking lit LA on fire. Like, we're going to find out we were all right the whole time.
Do you honestly, I'm talking to the audience here. Do you honestly believe, folks, every time Joe Biden went in front of that little mock Oval Office, whatever he was in, his little mock White House, that was a set during COVID, and rolled up his sleeve and they plunged that crap into his arm, do you believe honestly that there was anything in that syringe other than saline solution? I don't think any of those people. I don't think they put that in anybody. I don't think. I mean, it's weird to me, dude. None of these politicians they never get sick. They're never ill. What do they do? What is it? They don't do the same thing for these people that they do for us. And so all of the stuff that a Gavin Newsom is saying he's going to do to your city, it'll benefit him. It'll benefit him. It ain't going to benefit you. It's going to benefit their people, okay? And that's the deal, dude. And I'll die on that hill. And I'm going to keep calling it out, man, because it's just absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting. And so people say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm just telling the truth. Because I know, what is it, that comedian, he's got that bit. He's like, if you run in the government, I'd lie to you. He said, I got children. I lie to them all the time. Yep. He's like, I don't tell them the truth all the time. So, yeah, of course they're lying to you. All right, here's what we got to do before I get into Karen Bass, because I'm going to expose the history. If you know the history, you'll know the future. If you know the history, you'll know the future. I've always said, if you know who you are and know where you came from, you know where you're going and what you're going to leave behind. That's history, identity, destiny, legacy. Those 4 things define your life. And I'm going to show you that from a historical standpoint here in a minute with Karen Bass. Now, our friends over at Birch Gold. God, so many people. Fun. So I love Birch Mobile. That is an expensive phone, let me just tell you. Our friends over at Birch Gold, I was on the phone with them just a little while ago. They're so excited about what we are doing with the Dear America Show, as well as the Chad Prather Show and the Dear America Network. They're excited, man, because they love our audience and they want to help, and they really do, with that free information kit that will educate you on how to diversify not only your investments, but your IRA and your retirement accounts with precious metals, specifically gold. And, gold has been the standard for value throughout all of human history. It ain't going away, folks. So make sure that you text CHAD, C-H-A-D, spell it CHAD. Text CHAD to 989898. That's the number in the top. That's like a phone number. Just text 989898 and then type the word CHAD and hit send. And then you don't have to worry about it. They will send you a free, no obligation kit and educate you. Get that edumacation, baby. And we all need it on the best route to take to make sure that you are protected in the future by investing in gold. They'll take care of you, folks. 989898. Text the word Chad. It's not just a word, it's a name, and it's a special one. I'm the male version of Karen, Chad. How about that? Karen Bass. Okay, so Karen Bass, she, of course, is the mayor of Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. We saw her when she came back from Ghana. I've been to Ghana. She spent a lot of time in Africa. She was in Ghana whenever Los Angeles caught on fire. And you say, well, she was over there some kind of diplomacy mission, or she was over there for some kind of meeting talking about something. But she goes to Africa a lot. She tends to run around with some shady characters over there. Some of them have some pretty interesting ties, but that's nothing new because she's got a history of having pretty interesting ties. So one would ask themselves, was she just AWOL when the fire started, or was it just accidental she was on a trip? No, she tends to go to these places quite often because of what she believes in. She runs around, birds of a feather. She runs around with the same sort of people. She's been doing that since the early 70s. And what do I mean by that? Well, Karen Bass, I don't think it would shock anybody if I just called her a communist, right? I don't think anybody would be blown out of the water. But she's obviously a Democrat. She's extremely liberal, extremely progressive. But she's a far left radical liberal since the 1970s. She took 15 trips to Cuba. That means she was going for a period of time. She was going to Cuba every 6 months, all right? And down there, she was trained in terror tactics. And what they did is they would come back and they would try to radicalize other groups. So whether it was Black Panthers or whether Underground. But this group that she was a part of, they would go down and they would get training from Fidel Castro's people. In fact, she eulogized Fidel Castro, called him in jefe. He was el jefe. He was the boss man down there. She admired Fidel Castro. Anybody that admired, I mean, this kind of reminds me of Tim Walz going to China. I mean, or Bernie Sanders going to Russia and spending his honeymoon in Russia. These people go over there not for the tourism, not for the sightseeing. I've been to all of these places, and you don't go to Cuba for the. I'll just put it this way. She wasn't going down there to try the cigars or to look at the 1958 automobiles, okay? She was down there getting training, not the least of which was members of a group called M19 and, as I mentioned, Weather Underground. Those were domestic terror groups. Now, her group was her and her husband. I think they divorced in 1989, but her and her husband, they were pretty radical people. Okay, they were absolute communist disciples of Fidel Castro, and their whole goal was to train people because what they believed that feminism, for instance, the feminist movement, was what they called bourgeois feminism. It wasn't radical enough. They wanted to instill terror. Violence would be fine if violence got the job done, but they wanted radical terrorism. So they didn't believe in the modern, say, feminism movement. And so, like, M19 was a group. It stands for May 19th. May 19th was the birthday of both Malcolm X and Ho Chi Minh. And so they honored both of them by saying, okay, we're going to mix civil rights with a little communism, bam, and we're going to get our civil rights through communism, and so hence the name May 19th. Go to the next little slide up there. I think we got another deal up there. You can do your own research. So in 1983, the Capitol building, that's right. You've heard of January 6th, that big insurrection 4 years ago. But no, here's the real thing. 1983, November 7th, to be specific, the Capitol was bombed. She was the ringleader. You know who did it? M19 did it. Now, M19 was a female-founded and female-run. It's the only domestic terrorist group that's ever been founded and run by all females. Because, again, the feminist movement, that was just bourgeois feminism. They didn't like that. They wanted radical stuff. And so they started their own group, and the bombing was carried out by M19. M19 was radicalized by South LA Venceremos Brigade, and that is who Karen Bass, the mayor of LA today, was a member of. So the SLAVB was founded by Mayor Karen Bass. That's where this woman comes from. She is a radical. In fact, there are a couple of people who were engaged in that M19 bombing. No one was killed. They called in. They called it in. They said it was coming. But that's not the only place they bombed. I think they bombed the FDR building. I think they bombed the South African embassy in Washington, D.C. They bombed the Navy Yard twice. There's numerous bombings. 2 of the people that were part of M19 are still on the FBI watch list. And I think 4 of the ladies who engaged in that are in prison to this day. So 1983, November 7th. Nobody wants to talk about November 7th. Everybody wants to talk about January 6th. They bombed the west wing of the Capitol building, cost $1 million in damages. These people didn't kill anybody, but it wasn't because they were worried about that. They didn't mind killing anybody. They didn't mind killing anybody. And so that's why when she got off the plane the other day and that columnist or journalist met her out there in the walkway out of the airplane, asking her the questions, why aren't you taking responsibility? Do you feel bad about this? Is this something you have a statement on? She just gave her that death stare, because people like Karen Bass, these folks have been trained in radical communist activism. These are radicals. These are the Saul Alinsky type, Fidel Castro type trained radicals. When you look at Weather Underground is a much more popular group than, say, M19. You need to do the research on that. So if you know that that's the kind of person we're dealing with, then first of all, that this is a person who's installed in LA. This is a person who is installed. So when you have a person like this who's running the day-to-day affairs of Los Angeles, you have no problem believing that in the days ahead, they will have no problem whatsoever with Gavin Newsom, who is a disciple of Xi Jinping of China. You have no problem believing that these people will institute this smart city. They will do it. They will do it unless something happens. And now you've had this massive wildfire that has cleaned out some of the most expensive property in Southern California. And you got guys like comedian Bill Burr, who went on, I guess it was Jimmy Kimmel, saying, F everybody who's complained against Karen Bass or Gavin Newsom. Bill Burr has a lot of good takes, but this was a poor take, man, saying that they ran this thing with excellence. They didn't run this thing with excellence. They absolutely did not. And then you're going to blame it on climate change, which again is what the cultists are going to use to just say more and more, that this was some natural phenomena, and now we're going to build it back better. That's a mouthful.
Wild stuff. That's
a
wild,
mouthful.
Man. I feel like I just got a history lesson.
Yeah. Most people don't even know the Capitol building got bombed in 1980.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. M19. Women did it.
Wow, man.
Women did it. That's what Pete Hegseth should have said yesterday when they were asking him about women in combat. He should have said, no, because when we give bombs to women, they blow up the wrong stuff. I've seen you cook chicken. I've seen what you've done with a toaster, lady. Oh, man.
Jeez.
So these are soulless, corrupt people, man. These people are communists. These are radicals, man. She is a radical. You get in there and you start looking at her history, the things that she said, the things that she's done, and the fact that she is the mayor of one of the largest cities in America and one of the strongest economy cities in America. Oof. Not strong economy. I'll say the most expensive economy. And so this is what people don't realize. But yet, January 6ers that were invited into the Capitol building, they're still doing time in solitary confinement, many of them without even getting an accurate charge. Some people are in prison, like, what's his name that was the leader of the Proud Boys? He wasn't even there.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't even there.
I want to ask you a question, Chad. We know that we have a feeling that this is all planned, that they're coming out to try and flatten the land so they can rebuild. We know Karen Bass is passed now and her agenda and what she's been involved with. What do we do? What are we supposed to do here with this information?
It's a good question. Well, one thing is the education. What we need to do is we need to go back and we need to do some serious study of things such as the Rutherford School, Columbia University. We need to go and see about how the Marxists and the communists have invaded our institutions. That's our courts. It's the robes. It's the robes. Anybody that wears the robes, whether it's the judges or it's the scholars. And so you need to go back and you need to look at the robes. And literally, you could Google this stuff out. The Rutherford School. Google robes. Google the infiltration of the fascists from Italy that were run out during the World War II time, and those who came to America to educate our students and engaged in that long, slow walk, which is another, that communist term, because they played the long game. See, I keep saying that conservatives, they're still worried about the 2020 election when the Democrats have their election planned out for 2060. They play the long game. And that's why they do the brainwashing techniques. That's why they want to keep this witchcraft alive of constantly repeating certain things to you. That's why they use words like racist and fascist and Nazi and xenophobe and transphobe and bigot and all these different things that they've used. You know, racist, white privilege, CRT, all the different repetition words that they've used. And how often does it happen? Like you didn't know what COVID or pandemic was. You never heard those words, and then suddenly overnight it was part of our vocabulary. Because we start hearing these things. We didn't talk about pandemics. We didn't talk about quaddemics. Now that's part of our vocabulary. And so if they can change the language, they can change the culture, and that's exactly what they've done. But these people, they're not just about educating people. They're about radicalizing people. So what we've got to do, I'll tell you what we need to do, Royce. We need to burn the public education system to the ground. It doesn't need to exist. If you're still sending your kids to a public school, you just need to know that you're combating Marxism. You are combating, and I feel bad for the teachers too, because they're subject to the teachers unions as well as to the lessons plans that are being handed down to them. You started out in college with this idea that you want to educate young minds, but you wound up with Marxist infiltration, and you're having to push this stuff down their throats. And now you got kids that they're not worried about doing algebra or physics or calculus or becoming engineers or attorneys or studying law or understanding true art or anything of that nature. They don't know their history. They don't know their civics, but they do know gender studies, and they do know that, you know, I might be a boy today. I might be a girl tomorrow, and how I feel about things. And so we've moved into this kind of stuff. So I've said over and over again, you want to fix the public education system, parents need to go back. We need to go back to Little House on the Prairie, man. We need to go back to taking control. And again, they've lied to us as a society and said the two people in the home, the mom and the dad, both have to go out there and get a job. That way we can support all of our lifestyle and pay for all the bills that we have. But at the end of the day, what they did is they sold us a bill of goods so that now we have two adults in the house that they can tax. And what do? We bought it hook, line, and sinker. Meanwhile, they're radicalizing our youth. In 1917, when the Bolsheviks took over in Russia, the first thing they did was they took the children out of the homes. They removed the children from the homes and put them in special schools because they did not trust the parents to raise good communists. And so what they did is they put them in schools that educated them to be good little communists. And so they were the seedlings for things like the KGB, and they started spying on each other and reporting back to each other, and ultimately became, you know, the Lenin and Stalin's instigators, investigators, and executioners. That's where we're headed in America. If Kamala Harris had won this election, I am telling you, if Kamala Harris had won this election, we would already be headed far into that. Because again, she's a puppet, she's a pawn, she's clueless, she's an idiot. She's drunk right now. That's the way they kept her. They wanted her to be that way. They didn't want her to have an original thought. They wanted her talking about the little yellow school bus. Who doesn't love a little yellow school bus? It just reminds you of going to school. We all rode on a school bus. What's she talking about? The wheels on the bus go around and around, being unburdened by what has been. All those that's a communist phrase, by the way, you know. That unburdened by what has been, that's a communist phrase. And so all of this stuff, you know, we got in their way in 2016. We got in their way with Donald Trump. That's why they hate him so much, because Hillary Clinton was supposed to be Obama 2.0. Hillary Clinton was supposed to continue the plan, and then the regime would have been full blown. There would be no Joe Biden. Joe Biden would have never existed. They had to have a puppet. And then Kamala Harris, they had to have a puppet. But see, they got bit by their own ideology. They got painted into a corner because they couldn't get Joe to resign and then pull a Gavin Newsom out of the hat because he's a white dude. They had to have a woman of color. It had to be either Michelle Obama or Kamala Harris. Michelle Obama said, screw you, I'm going to stay in my 15-bedroom mansion on Martha's Vineyard. I'm too interested in being a celebrity and not a politician. And they said, okay, well, we'll keep this moron over here. And that's why Joe's like, I could have won. I could have won. No, you couldn't. You couldn't have won because America got in your way. Patriots got in your way, and the woke mind virus got exposed for what it is. But if we don't save our children and truly teach critical thinking and common sense and get people back to learning where we came from and learning our history, get away from this revisionist crap, we're headed to death and destruction. We've bought a reprieve. We've got a little reprieve, and that's why I agree with you, Sherry Lynn 47, Monday can't get here soon enough. It's radical. It's radical. But you're fighting radicals. You're fighting radicals. So here we are. Oh, boy, Royce. There we go.
What a run, man.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry for monopolizing the conversation, but I get fired
No,
up
you're
on this
good,
stuff.
man.
I get fired up on this stuff. I really do, man. They came after us, but research the Rutherford School. There's some great videos out there still on YouTube. Go research it. Research Karen Bass, M19. There's some great content out there. The brigade, the Vincerino, or whatever you say, brigade. You got to get them. Go read. Yeah. Go look at the series. Go look at the information. It's out there. All right, Royce, I got to go. I got to drive. I got to get on the, well, Party Foul Steve's going to drive. I got to ride.
You got to hit the road either way.
I got to go. I'm going to try to be with you guys in the morning. Go to watchchad.com. That's where all the fun stuff is. I'm going to be in Fredericksburg, Texas, Saturday night, telling jokes, singing some songs. I'll even sing my new song, What Happened to That, just for you guys if you come out there. It'll be a sold-out show. It always is. Then I'm doing Waco and Granbury and Austin, going to Oregon. Got a lot of stuff. Nashville. Tons of shows. And tons of stuff going on. What can we tell them to do? Like, share. Thank you, guys. This has been a good week. I'm really thankful that Graham trusted me this week to kind of sit in for him a little bit and hang out. And Royce, obviously you and I got a relationship together. You've stepped in and been a godsend. But I'm really thankful for Graham entrusting me with his audience this week. And so, we'll jump over on the Super Chats here in a second.
Yeah, we have a couple here if you want to read them.
Yeah, let's do it. You may have to. I think I can see the screen today. Tracy Clean, cowboy stuff. What does cowboy stuff mean in Chad? What does that say?
In Chad Dictionary.
Chad Dictionary. Well, I can tell you this. I've palpated more cows than I've palpated a lot of cows, got them ready to be inseminated. One of these days, I'll tell you the story about artificially, taking stuff from a goat. I'll put it that way.
Gotcha.
It's a pretty fun story. But no, we got to do some roping. We got to do some riding. Mostly got to do some talking, and got to do that from the back of a horse. But some stuff to get your hands calloused out there again. And we love cows, man. Cows ain't pets. All they do is just chew and stare at you. They're terrible at playing fetch. We like to eat them, man. Beef is what for dinner. It's what's for dinner, dude. I was in I was in Philadelphia doing another TV show years ago that I used to be a part of, and I was wearing my cowboy hat, and I was at Gino's Steaks. They had me back there cooking the Philly cheesesteaks at Gino's in Philly, and this guy he's got grumbling, this stupid guy in his cowboy hat. What's wrong with him? Finally, I looked at the guy, and I said, listen, dude, you ain't got to like me, but I want you to understand that you got a job by cooking beef, and the guy that raised that beef, there's a good chance he wears a hat that looks just like this. So you're welcome. You're welcome.
Love it.
What we got
Got
next?
a few more.
Yep, read it out.
How would they build the 15-minute smart cities by 2028? How could they convince Trump this is a good idea?
They don't have to. They don't have to convince Trump that it's a good idea. They're going to get their federal funding to rebuild. That's what's going to happen. They're going to get all of that stuff. And again, they're going to have states' rights. And Trump has been consistently, he's been very consistent on the fact about states' rights, letting the states make their decisions for themselves. But again, it's a house of cards, and they're building it on a fault line, and it ain't going to go well for them. So I think they can pull the wool over.
It's from Not Woke.
Not Woke Troubadours.
Troubadours. Great episode, Chad. Firing on all cylinders.
My dear brother.
Per
Not
usual.
Woke. I will see you soon, brother. Thank you, man.
Not woke. And then last one from Megimoo32. Great job this week, Chad. Let me know when you're in Nashville.
I sure will. I think we are over there in, July, Megan. Make sure that you guys tune into Megan's show as well. She's on 7:30.
8:30 Eastern.
8:30 Eastern. I always get the Central Times mixed up. She's doing a fun thing over there, and she's just cute as a button. You can tell your husband I said so. She's just full of energy, and I love it. And so let's go. I like what Striker J says. There's always been one of my favorite things. If you're confused about gender, try milking a bull. You ain't wrong, Jay. That's basically sort of what happened on this goat farm. The goat farm was owned by two gay guys, and I'll just leave it right there. And anyway, it was a whole.
All right.
It's a fun story. It's a fun story. It's not what Ashley says. She can't find out anything about the Rutherford School. Get on there. and do a little bit more research. I promise you, the stuff
You might need to go
is
to a library.
out there. Now you can, I'll tell you what, try DuckDuckGo, do your searches over there and see what you can find. Google's not really kind. You can get on YouTube though. There's some great videos. They do try to hide them. I'll give a free shout out to my buddy Seth Gruber. Seth Gruber is got a fantastic show. His podcast, Seth Gruber Show, White Rose Society. He is incredibly educational, consistently educational on this topic. He's got a book out called The 1916 Project, also a documentary that talks about the founding of Planned Parenthood, which again was a socialist Marxist agenda on the part of a genocidal eugenicist by the name of Margaret Sanger, who wanted to eradicate the black population in the United States of America. And even to this day, 85% of Planned Parenthoods are within walking distance of an urban community. It's a very telltale sign, and it wasn't just until a couple of years ago that Planned Parenthood finally disavowed Margaret Sanger for being what she was, and that was a friend of the KKK and a eugenicist who said that blacks have to be plucked like weeds, and that is the agenda of the abortion industry by and large. Gotta go, folks. Gotta go. Follow Royce on X at Royce Chamberlain. WatchChad.com is everything. You know what we did? We moved up pretty high in the podcast rankings for news commentary. We actually got ahead of Graham. We're not going to tell him that. My numbers pale in comparison to everything Graham does, trust me. And I'm okay with that. There's no ego in there. But go to where they are offered, rate them, and review them and all that stuff. Figure that out. Man, you guys are the best. I just love what we're doing this year, Royce. I love it. It's good,
I'm excited.
man. It's good, and I appreciate you. All right, we're going to jump out of here. For Royce, my name is Chad Prather. I think you know that. That's what the name of the show is. I love you guys. Stay safe out there. God bless you, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.